All right, so with that, let's get started. We're going to be drawing the adorable little robot named Wally. Yes, she knows. We're going to be drawing his full body as well, facing forward towards us. So the first things first, we're going to start with his body. Now, his body, he is a robot, very angular. We want to go ahead and start off with a nice square in the middle of our page. This is going to act as his actual full body, where he actually presses that trash engine and compacts it and creates it into that cute little square shape that he does. And then you'll notice I'm drawing a bunch of lines. I'm not just doing it one and done. That's because I can't draw perfect lines. Instead, you'll draw a bunch of them until there is a line in there that you want to start working off of. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and cut our box in half. Go ahead and add a line straight towards the middle here. We want 2 even pieces. That's going to help us for his placement for his eyes and his neck. And then the next thing we want to add is we want to add another line. We're going to do about a third of the way though, not exactly in the middle. So now you have a cute little plus, a Disney plus, where you can watch Walle. Definitely subscribe, guys. Yeah, they don't even pay me to say that. I feel like they really should though. I feel like I've gotten them a lot of subscribers. Okay, so this is it. This is our basic foundation for Walle. It looks nothing like him though. So now we're going to start carving him out. We're going to get started on those cute little tires he has on the side of his body. Go ahead and do a tiny nick just right below that guideline that we made. We're going to do this on each side. This is actually where the large rectangles we're about to create start coming out from his body. So go ahead and stretch these lines out just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to add another line directly under the box. I'm going to use this as my line for my ground here, so that my tires don't go too far, and then about the same size. And then now I'm going to go ahead and bring my line down from those markings we made just a moment ago, and bring it all the way down to the ground. And then his wheels do go a little bit under him because they are part of his body. So not exactly in there. You want to do like the tiniest little corner. And we're going to do that on each side. And since you've already drawn down the line to the ground, you guys can go ahead and start locking in your favorite lines. So locking in is what you see what I'm doing now. This is me darkening up my favorite lines so that my sketchy lines to my audience will just simply fade away. They won't even notice them near the end. Now that we have his wheels here, we want to go ahead and add some tire markings. Because when he does drive around, he has these little lines that he left behind when he drives around on the dirt. So you want to add a few of these lines very narrow to his body. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Now, we know that his name is Walle, but it's actually an acronym for what he was built to do. Does anybody happen to know what his full name is besides Walle? You can shout it out if you want.
No.
Good try. So it's actually Waste Allocation Load Lifter, and then the E stands for Earth Edition. And then you'll notice once they are on the Axiom, there are these larger Wallies right on the ship. So those are also Wallies, except they're named Wall-Us because they are Wallies that are on the Axiom, which is the ship that they are boarded on. So they end with an A instead for Axiom Edition. Alright, so now I'm just going around. I'm darkening up my favorite lines for his body because this is now a permanent addition to my drawing. Once I have that and I've blocked in my box, we're going to get started on adding in his hands. His hands are going to be here on the corner. You want to add 2 little boxes that are pointing inwards, so they're on their side, or you can think of this as a diamond as well. And then he has some cute markings on his hands. He has a tiny little rectangle towards the top. And you don't see the full rectangle, you just see a little bit. And then a little line coming down from the rectangle, because this is for his parts of his little claws that he has. And then for a little bit of more details, because he does have this little flap that helps him grip the items he needs to put into his body, you add these little lines here, have them connect so they look like they're folded inward. I know, it's a little bit tricky on that one. I'm going to do it again on this side. So make your square here, make your diamond. Once you're done with your diamond, start adding those details, like the rectangle towards the top. Add a middle line. And then 2 lines pointing out, connect those 2. Add middle line from that middle. And of course, don't forget to darken in your lines. Now, Eve's name, she is also an acronym for what she does. And that one, instead, it actually stands for Extraterrestrial Vegetation Evaluator, because that's what Eve's job was, right? She was going back to Earth, scanning everything she could until she found some sort of life, which in this case was vegetation, so that the humans on the Axiom could know when it was safe to return to Earth, even though all those shenanigans that are happening in the movie. Alright, so now that we have his little cute hands and those details are added, let's go ahead and add his neck, so this looks more like Walle. So his neck, first he has like this little collar kind of thing, and it's going to go on each side of that little metal guideline here, and it does have an extra line towards the middle. And then using that middle guideline we made at the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and add a large number 1 instead, right here, off of the edge in the middle, on each side of my middle guideline. I'm not going to make it too tall though. And I'm not going to close it up just yet. I'm going to keep it real light and loose because we want to add his eyes. Now his eyes are very much inspired by binoculars. Ben Burt, he actually went to a baseball game and was using binoculars, and that's when he had the idea to make Walle's eyes are similar to those lenses from those binoculars. So for Walle's eye shape, you want to think of them as lemon wedges that you cut off, or maybe like an orange. So I'm going to have his eyes a nice line that goes down to give him that cuteness factor, or give him that sad eye look. If you pointed them down and made them into a V shape, this would be mean, evil Walle. We don't want that. Unless that's what you want to draw, then I highly encourage it. I do encourage creativity. All right, and we're going to do the same thing to his other eye. So Ben Burt, like I said, he was the director of the Walle movie, but he also got to be the sound designer. Ben Burt was actually the sound designer, and he actually worked on the Star Wars movies too, created a bunch of sounds for these little robots, and that's why you'll notice that they're pretty similar to each other. All right, and then now that I have my eyes in, I'm going to go ahead and start darkening up my favorites. I'm going to add that middle line there for that connection at the top of my rectangle too, now that I've added his eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and start darkening in his binoculars here, or those lemon wedges. And in the inside, we're going to add a lens. And the lens is about the shape of a little circle. And we're also going to add a little detail to show that this is a piece of glass in his eye in just a moment. Yeah, exactly. So from here, go inside the lemon wedge, draw a nice circle. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side, add your circle. And like I said, these are going to be lenses, so we want to add that extra eye shine. So for my light source, I'm going to pretend that it's coming from directly on top of him. So I'm going to add a nice circle towards the top. We're going to do that on each side. And then you guys can make these eye shines any shape you want. If you want to make them hearts, that would be adorable. Maybe some stars, because he's literally on the Axiom, flying around with Eve with a cute little fire extinguisher. That scene was adorable. And it's so pure how he just wants to hold her hand. The cutest little robot who has all of our hearts. Honestly, I used to hate robots until I saw Walle. Like Pirates of the Caribbean for me was forget about it. And then Walle came out and I was like, oh my god, they could have feelings too. So now that I have his eyes in, I'm going to go ahead and color these nice and dark. I want these to be the darkest part of my drawing because I really want the audience drawn in. If you want to add more details to his eyes, you can always add an extra rim around them. Makes it a little bit more detailed, a little bit more accurate to his design. But if you don't want to, that's it on that part. Okay, and the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and darken up this line that we made at the beginning because this is a permanent part of my drawing. And I'm going to add a few more details to his long neck here. He has 3 lines total within it. And then he has this cute little power source that he uses on Earth. What does he need for power? What is it? Say it. The sun. He has solar energy, so we want to add that on his body to emphasize that. So right here on the right-hand side, go ahead and draw a box. Right inside that third part that we cut off.
And then once you have that, go ahead and add a little line, creating a small sliver. This is going to act as his battery pack, so you can tell how much battery life he has. And then in this open area, go ahead and add the tiny little sign. It'll be our little secret. Just like that. And then he has other buttons, and of course that's where he keeps his cassette player over on the left-hand side. So you want to draw a nice little rectangle. And it has about 2 lines in here. If you can only see one, that's totally fine. And then you want to add a button so he can play his music whenever he wants. So another little rectangle right below the long line. And then of course he's missing something very important. We need to write his name at the bottom of his body. I like to start at the end with the letter E just to make sure I have enough space. But that letter E does have a circle surrounding it, so don't forget that detail. Then there's a little tiny dot, and then spell out the rest of his name. And if you want to do even more extra credit, maybe you can add him holding a Mickey balloon, maybe a churro, maybe he's wearing some cute little Mickey ears. This is your chance to get really creative with it and add as many details as you want. Me personally, I'm going to add his little friend from, the cockroach, exactly, from Walle. He actually does have a name though. His name is Hal. Yeah, that's what the studio director called him. Just a little detail just like that off to the side. I'm also going to add some dust clouds because he's probably back on Earth with his little friend. Maybe add some little dirt textures every so often. But that's it, guys. You have just drawn your very own little robot from Earth, Walle. He just wants to hold your hand. Go ahead and sign your name somewhere on the page so everyone knows this was your lovely creation that you drew today. How did we do, guys? Okay, one good. And everybody else was just stunned silent. Okay, I totally get it.